Alright, Askreddit thread. What's the biggest lie you were told as a kid? My mom would always tell me I was the easiest physical birth out of all the kids. I felt proud. Until at the age of 18, I was told I was adopted. From her perspective, it wasn't untrue. Why do parents not tell their kids that they're adopted? I've never understood this. How many kids who were adopted and everyone is fine with it? Because social norms change over time. It used to be believed that it would damage the kid to know. I don't know. I still think that'd be better to hide it from them until they're old enough. Because when they're kids, they might think that they're not as wanted as the real kids. But when they're older, they'll probably be able to see it for what it is. My mom and her friends would always say, "Oh, he's so handsome. There'll be girls lining up around the block." My mom said this too. I want my money back. Falling Rock was an old Indian chief. So when we were on a car trip and passed a "Watch for Falling Rock on road" sign, we would stop our shenanigans and look for him. That's actually fantastic. Harmless and funny. Cheeky shenanigans. My sister, who is 13 years older than me, was angry when I lost my first tooth and got $1 instead of the quarter she received when she lost her first tooth, which, adjusted for inflation over the 1971-1984 period, is not really that big of a deal, but I digress. As I danced around in my pajamas holding my crisp new dollar bill, my sister poked her head out of my room and said, "Man, $1? Just wait until the lake fairies come. You'll get to like $20. When I said that I'd never heard of the lake fairy, she explained that when my kid legs fall off and my adult legs start to grow in, I'll have to just kind of hop around on my butt for a year or so. But I'll have the $20, so yeah, you never know, even Stevens." I cried inconsolably for hours. That's great. I used to tell lies like this to my little brother all the time. Oh, I wonder how many things he thinks are true just because I used to lie for no reason. It's funny, I was always really nice to him. He grew up looking up to me like I was the coolest older brother in the world. But I would lie to him about the stupidest things because I thought it was funny. This is beautiful. Oh, it's because I was like 8 years older than my little brother. He's like in high school now, I think. This is beautiful. She's what, 17 at the time? I can see a 12-year-old pulling this. 17 on the dot, but most 12-year-old kids lack the nuanced understanding of a child's psyche required to truly terrify them. My brother, who is 10 years older than me, was much more into the physical form of expressing dominance. And while the time he would make me spend as the human pretzel wasn't fun, it had a definite end. My sister was able just to say a few words and haunt me all day. Why would a 17-year-old be upset about something like that? Have you met many 17-year-old girls? They don't need a reason to get upset. It's like their default setting. Oh, that's true. For some of them. I've met some really nice ones too. Story time. In kindergarten, a girl told me what sex was. She told me incorrectly, so I had a bunch of questions. I walked to my mom and said, "Mom, I know what sex is." She sort of panicked and said, "Okay." I responded, "I just understand how you know when you're done. I am a girl, and I didn't understand the concept of ejaculation." So my mom looked me straight in the face and said, "You said a kitchen timer." And she never fucking told me the truth. I found out in high school. Ring ring, what was that? Oh, that means we're done roasting the salami. What? Take the salami out of the oven. We certainly don't want to overcook it. That if I misbehave in the car would be sad. Oh, that's brilliant. I think I was 5 or something. Fast forward a year, and I'm tearfully telling the car that I'm sorry he has to go, but I'm sure he'll be a cool plane in his next life. Oh, that is too funny. I have a 4-year-old nephew right now who likes to roll down the windows and be me. He's just a little brat around his mom, I should say. When he's with anyone else, he's a perfect little angel. But he's with his mom, he's a huge brat because his mom spoils him. But yeah, that's a funny one. I'll tell that to him. For a long time, he believed that the ice cream truck was called the dancing truck. Because I lied to him and said, "Oh, they're playing music because it's the dancing truck." But then someone told him the truth. Now he knows it's the ice cream truck. It's kind of sad. Because it's not like we're going to go out there and buy him anything. I mean, it's because he has so many... Like I said, my sister spoils him, so he has a ton of just sweets in the house. There's no need to go out and buy ice cream when we have a whole bunch in the freezer for him. My sister went for the Hail Mary of all lies when I was a kid. She was babysitting me one day while our parents were out at night. Sat me down and said, player's name, Mom and Dad have died in a car crash on their way to get a divorce. They want a divorce because they don't love you after ruining their marriage because they can't afford to keep you. In their will, it says that I get to go and live with our godparents, but you would cost too much, so I'll have to live at the Cinderella orphanage until you get adopted by your new step-parents. Joke's on her, though. I was crying for so long that I was still crying by the time my parents came home over an hour later. They immediately believed what I told them, and my sister got quite the ball-locking. She wasn't allowed to babysit me much after that. Sounds like she won. It'd be easier just to kill the kid. The candy next to the checkout lines are not for sale. Whoever told you that is a fucking genius. Oh, that's another really good one. Mine went straight for telling me I was allergic to sugar. A lot of supermarkets near me are switching to a no sweets near the till system. I imagine the gains from impulsive buyers are lost in the delay of 5 minutes of screaming children to cop the fuck on. The door is locked because Mommy was helping Daddy hang a picture behind the door, and we didn't want you to open it and hit us. God damn how many times you guys are hanging pictures behind that door at night. The thing is, all the banging they do in the bed afterwards makes the picture fall back off. I end up having to rehang it the next night. In all fairness, there was a lot of nailing going on. If I didn't sit still during a haircut, the barber would probably cut my ear off. The worst part was the barber would play along. That's another good one. When I was younger, I was getting a haircut one time, and the barber touched the clippers to my ear, which was cut slightly and started bleeding. The barber apologized, saying he thought it would tickle. What the fuck? He probably dropped his trimmers and they were misaligned, causing it to bite. Or, the little skin that is the top of your ear probably got between the two pieces and gotcha. But I'd never say, oh, I thought you'd like that. The only way to address cutting someone is profusely apologizing. Idiot barber. Source hairdresser. If I didn't sit during my shave, the barber would slit my throat. If you don't behave, the pilot will turn the plane around. Well, that's not exactly a lie, depending on how bad you behave. Remember the old days before 9/11 when pilots would let you in for a tour of the cockpit if you behaved? There was an airline people of Reddit thread a few days ago where a pilot said that you still can have your kids to the cockpit once the flight is over and people have left the plane, so long as the pilot is not in a rush and willing to let your kid look. Huh. I grew up in Atlanta, watched the Braves. My brother told me that the end of the national anthem goes, "and the home of the name of the local baseball team." I went to a game in New York later that summer and sang, "and the home of the Yankees." That's great. My father told me that when I was 13, I would receive my birthright, nearly unlimited magical powers. I believed him because I was 4 and believed things my dad told me. That's great. When I was a child, my dad told me that I used to have a tail. He said that he had to cut it off because I kept turning into a giant monkey and started destroying everything during the full moon. He also told me that when I got older, he would take me out in the woods and show me where he hid his Gundam from everyone. I was so disappointed when I figured it all out. His dad's an anime fan. First one's Dragon Ball Z reference. Second one's obviously a Gundam one. I convinced my younger sister, by 11 years, that all humans are born with tails, which since the 1950s are removed at birth, but the people as old as Grandma and Grandpa still have their tails because it wasn't common practice when they were born. Grandma even got in on the joke. I'm pretty sure she believes this until she was 15. She still has a little bit of uncertainty. Because she saw your grandma's tail with her own eyes. If I touched something I wasn't supposed to, it would turn into a million spiders. Honey, where's the remote? Oh, Keely8998 touched it earlier after I told him not to. It turned into spiders. Again? My sister told me that if I burped with my mouth closed, no one would be able to hear it. I believed this until my mid-20s, without ever really thinking about it until one day a coworker called me out on it. I momentarily argued with them that they couldn't possibly have heard it. My mouth was closed, and then it started to sink in. Fuck you, Sarah. Great, this is my highest rated comment. Oh, god damn it. This reminds me of the old Reddit classic, Deaf Men of Reddit. How old were you when you found out getting an erection made a sound? Oh my god. That's me. I will grow bigger. When you were a kid, not 36. Not the biggest, but a memorable one. My mom managed to convince me and my brother that Ferrero Rocher didn't taste nice and that we wouldn't like them. She did this to prevent us from stealing them. Then, of course, one year we both tried one and it was a moment of clarity. The bridge of trust was well and truly destroyed. What the hell is this? Oh, those are good. Those are some good chocolates. My mom told me that rice crackers were cookies. Rice cakes were cookies. Gross. Rice cakes aren't that bad. Cookies are way better, though. If you unscrew your belly button, your ass falls off. My dad says this. He made my niece running around guarding her belly button, because he said he wanted to trade legs because he was tired of being tall. That when the ice cream van is playing music, it means it's sold out. Ice cream, all out of ice cream. Don't you mean it's the dancing truck? Van. There's a scene in The Flash on CW where some cops are undercover driving around an ice cream truck with the music on while stopping at an intersection. Some kids ran up wanting ice cream. The cop in the front seat told them the music meant he was out of ice cream. The kids look so heartbroken and disappointed. What's with all these parents lying to their kids? My parents just told me no. That's funny. I posted this before, but it's relevant here. My brother told me when I was very little that when a TV show would go to a commercial, or they said next on blah blah blah, it meant we had to change the channel and wait until next week to see what happens. I never got to watch a full episode of anything until I was 9. Huh. That's messed up. I have something to tell you about how Roseanne ends. How did it end? They won the lottery, but how did it end? Everything was her imagination, as if Dan didn't die. It was her coping with losing her husband and writing down her imaginary life. What? Dan died? I never knew. Spoilers for the last season of Roseanne. They didn't actually win the lottery. The toys are going to the repair shop. The toys weren't broken, and they were going to poor children. Yeah, fuck the poor kids. Grandma died of cancer. No, she didn't. She stepped in front of a train after she found out she had cancer. I was happier when I only knew the lie. That's sad. But Grandma didn't want to fight the good fight, and it was her decision. Don't let it get you down. She could have killed herself in a way that didn't inconvenience everyone else, though. The decision was hers, but fucking up the conductor's life was a bad mood. Yes, remember kids, kill yourself in a way that doesn't traumatize others. That air chokers were a little shrew type animal. I refused to eat artichoke until I was 22. I have eyes in the back of my head. I went home crying because I was blind. The eyes in the back of my head weren't working like my teachers were. Flattery will get you nowhere. As an adult, I found that it helps you get pretty much everywhere. That's true. When someone says that, you just tell them that they are right and way too smart to fall for it, and apologize for trying to fool such an intelligent person. Especially in Fallout, make sure you level up your charisma. I bet it's just the fact that you're so smart and handsome that gets you everywhere, really. My parents always told me that the reason they fought was because of me. That's messed up. Tell your parents a random person on the internet said fuck both of you. That's dumb. When you were 21, you and your siblings will get your inheritance from your grandparents. Nope, parents spent it on us. Poofed. Yep, they told 7-year-old me, your great-grandma left you college tuition in her will. I would put that through a very nice university. Then they asked 9-year-old me, God wants us to build a Christian retreat on our lake property. Can we use your money? How's your 9-year-old going to say no to her mom? Nope. What? And that's what adult me says. You won't be carrying a calculator around with you all the time. Huh, you're wrong, Mr. Diaz. Well, I don't have it with me during showers. I'm sure there are waterproof shower calculators. If you argue / fight with each other, the broader border guard, or whatever those guys who check passports are called, won't let you in and will have to go home. This was a brilliant way to keep 3 young kids from being obnoxious during a 9 to 12 hour flight. I only just realized earlier this month at 18 that it's complete bullshit. Pokemon is just a fad. You'll grow out of it. Huh. To be fair, they believed that. Well, in their defense, it was true for most people. To be fair, Pokemon's popularity is at an all-time high, thanks to nostalgia bringing the 90 fans back. It's just not as pervasive in pop culture as it was. You challenging me to a battle, boy? 20 years later. Played Pokemon Red back in 1998, and I've gotten every single generation of games since. No regrets. One day, everything will be alright. I'm still waiting. That my brother was the son of both my parents. Well, into adulthood, they revealed to us that he's my half-bro, and my mom was pregnant when she met my dad. That my father, brother, and sister wanted nothing to do with me. Thanks, Mom, fucking spawn of Satan. My sex ed teacher calmly explained that it's possible to pee when you have a boner. Impossible to pee when you have a boner. Well, that's not true. Good lord, my sex ed teacher said exactly the same thing. I thought I was a damn champion when I first peed while rock hard. I felt like I defied all odds by being able to wrangle the beast into safe shooting direction, and then it clicked that I had just peed with the boner. One of those moments you really want to brag about, but knew you never could until this moment. Thanks, Reddit. You'll need cursive. Well, signed signatures, yeah. Funny thing about signatures, I just scribble them. Like, my first and last name start with a J and a P. So, I do a really exaggerated J, and then scribble, scribble, scribble. And then a really exaggerated P, and then scribble, scribble, scribble. There's also a T in there, so I make sure to do a T in the middle of the scribbles. So it looks like it's my signature. Because my old job, I used to have to sign my signature like 5 times a day. And since I worked there for 5 years, I got really good at making it look like it's a real signature. Ugh. Now I can write my signature in like half a second, and it looks not half bad. Even though it's just scribbles. You should be able to read it. It would be a shame not be able to read historical documents or letters from grandma. I find some of Reddit's hate for cursive ridiculous. I like my pretty handwriting. Handwriting is very useful for studying, as you tend to learn better from your own writing, and cursive is quicker than script for most people. Plus, kids have shit motor functions that need to be improved, so writing a fancy like 50 times is a good way as any to improve. You could be anything you want when you grow up. Bullshit, I have shitty vision and will never be a pilot. Sucks to be you. Laser surgery is acceptable for pilots in most situations. Source: was going to become Navy pilot, had 2400 vision. Corrected to 2015 in both eyes. Don't give up. Unless you're like colorblind. You better get it corrected to 2016. You aren't you not allowed to scuba dive or go above certain altitudes after getting one of your eyes cut open? Most pilot applications require specific laser surgery because of the method of procedure. Ugh. In school, first grade, teacher said if you didn't do your work, Santa wouldn't give you presents. I said he's not real. I ruined Christmas. I did get some good sweet sour chicken though. Okay. When I was a little kid, I loved to climb trees. Like, couldn't find me? Bet your ass I was in a tree. And way the fuck up high, too. Rightfully scared my parents, but like, I was a kid. That's what kids do. We had this relatively short tree in our front yard, which I would hang out in most often. And it was right by my mom's flower garden. She planted some new plants and told me they were Las Vegas flowers. And that when they saw little girls climbing a tree, they would grow very tall and eat them with the Venus flytrap-esque mouth. Who thinks of this shit? My batshit crazy mom. I was 5 at the time and never really believed it, but I was a little bit extra cautious and carried scissors with me, just in case I needed to cut a plant down for trying to eat me. I still climb trees. My mom just looked dumb for that way. So you were now a 5-year-old climbing trees with holding scissors. Bet that didn't go as mom expected. I used to climb trees a lot when I was little. If you aren't married by 30, you are a failure. What are you talking about? That's still true. Have absolutely no relationships by 30, though? Then you are, because that's all I've ever heard. And it's pretty much true, because who the fuck would want someone who's untouchable at 30? That's why you don't tell them. People are fucking mind readers. I had a friend who hadn't had a girlfriend, been laid for 9 years, and we was 29. If we had been complete loser or ugly as sin, I would have never brought it up. Or if it had been for a religious reason, but his problem was that he was an asshole, and insecure one to boot. But he would never admit that. He'd always tell me sex doesn't matter to him, or I'm just too picky. I would always try to tell him the real reason, because he's argumentative, even after beating someone after like 5 minutes. He's too intense. That women can smell his desperation like wolves can smell blood. He was trying way, way too hard, and they need to cut it with the being picky excuse and try to appreciate flaws in people. But no, he insisted he had ample opportunities to hook up with women, but he is just too good for them. I knew he was lying, because when he did manage to actually date a girl, after 9 years of being too picky, she was the complete opposite of him. An utterly insane, suicidal alcoholic who gets around. I never said I told you, but after they broke up, he started coming around again. He was being constantly argumentative as usual with me, right back to his asshole self. So one day I kicked him out of my house and haven't talked to him since. Sounds like a real high-quality friend. My husband was over 30 and a virgin when I met him. He's a great guy, and there's nothing wrong with him at all, except he was a bit shy and had trouble believing anyone could be interested in him. He's probably missed all sorts of signals from women who were, for which I'm grateful, because it meant he was available for me to catch. The only thing that counts, per my parents in the 70s, is marriage. I've never married and been with the same woman for 7 years. So 7 times 7? Asian parents? All the good women are taken before they're out of college. A guy a couple years below me in high school had the worst. He was born with a heart issue, don't remember what it was, and so he was unable to have too much exertion in his heart. Permanently excused from participation in gym, couldn't run around outside playing football or anything, and then was never going to be able to have sex, or even too heavy a makeout section for his entire life. Halfway through high school, he finds out that his heart problem was resolved when he was a toddler. His parents just lied so they can keep him from doing dangerous things as a kid and keep him from having sex until they felt he was old enough. And then they would tell him, like, hey, our wedding gift to you is that you can have sex. You were just making sure you saved yourself. You're welcome. Didn't hear from him much after that. He obviously stopped dealing with his parents. I think he ended up living with someone else. Don't know of any consequences for them other than losing their child. Wow, that's messed up. That all car windows were bulletproof. Mom couldn't go into the store to grab anything without me having a full-blown fear meltdown. So she told me that, and I believed it for a long time. Oh, kids are annoying. If you go around telling people this bullshit, they'll think you're crazy. Any psychiatrist would have you locked up. Yeah, I got that one thrown at me a lot when I'd call my dad on his shitty fear tactics and threats. My dad is actually the crazy one. Woo, childhood narcissism, emotional abuse. Some projection going on there. Yeah, big time. Took me a long time to realize he'd probably say that, so I would be afraid to tell anyone. Sucks for him. Every single person I've told in my entire life about the shit he pulls agrees I'm not nuts. Sorry, Pops. A lot of those screw memories are more amusing to me now than anything. Like when he'd rant for half an hour straight on the car ride to school, and then accuse me of being angry as I sit there silently for the entire car ride. Oh, the projection. If you drink coffee, you will turn black. But the joke's on them. I was already black. And that's how I found out I was adopted. I told my oldest son that he just had to tell my truck it to lock or unlock, and she, the truck, would do it if he asked politely and always said thank you. Then I would just unlock from the fob. Sometimes I would hear him and he would get a little upset. I just told him the truck is kind of stubborn and sometimes, and she just need a little rub. Then one day we had a family gather at my mom's house. My niece came in saying, "No fun here, Junior is outside yelling at your truck. Poor kid forgot his toy in the truck and had been outside for almost half an hour asking, playing, rubbing, and finally yelled at the truck, almost in tears, demanding that she open her doors." That's funny. If you're nice to people, people will be nice to you back. That's actually really good advice. I mean, it's not going to be true all the time, but I'd say about 80 to 90% of the time it is. This is generally good advice. People subconsciously respond to others in a manner in which they are being communicated. If you're nice to people, most people are going to mirror you and be nice back. Some people are just shitheads, though, and there's nothing to be done about it. But most of the time it works. Try it. This is super true. The only thing is, though, people are programmed to remember negative encounters more than positive ones. So they'll probably remember like that 1 or 2 times people were dicks to them back. They're like, oh, everyone's mean to me if I try to be nice. And then they'll forget about the hundreds of times people were nice to them when they were, pleasant to them too. I just stood in line for 10 minutes at my local grocery store to pay the dream tax and get some Powerball tickets. The woman at the counter was in a terrible mood. I watched her bitch at several people who were like me, novices at the whole buying a lottery ticket thing. So when it was finally my turn, I straight up said, I'm sorry. I've literally never done this before. Can you help me figure this out? She still wasn't pleasant, but she at least wasn't bitchy. But when I win, I'm going to buy her grocery store and just fire her. And fire just her. I'm kidding, but maybe. That was so nice of you to explain. Customer service rep here can confirm. If you're nice to me, I'll gladly help you out much more than someone who was rude. Dude, you have no idea how much I've tried it. I'm nice to people every time, everywhere, always. The day you hear me so much as yell at someone is the day after I die. Okay, so people are just not nice to you as a result. You're nice to everyone and you get treated like shit? You betcha, the whole mess is in detail here. Well, that's certainly not fair. Kids can be so fucking cruel to each other, and unfortunately bullying is still quite prevalent, but it's not always as bad as you see it. Supernovas, big adventures. I found myself in a pretty bad health situation. Feelings and thoughts have been holding. Why? Well, they kind of problem the way you're honest to me, blah, blah, blah. I need to vent. I don't get it. You're talking about when he's a kid? Because the rules are a little bit different if you're kids. Adults are generally nice to the kids, so it may well be true as you get older. A sport or activity is a good way to both meet people and also give you the opportunity to comment and bond over. I personally love rock climbing and dancing. Oh, I guess he's a teenager or something. That's true. I was raised in severe poverty. We didn't have much. My mom worked 2 jobs and my dad wasn't around. My 2 older brothers both fell into drug game early and we were in and out of jail, which was really hard for my mom. I think she expected I would fall into the same thing, which to be honest, at times I really thought I was going to as well. Although I pushed through despite the chances, I wanted something more for myself. School was tough, though. I would get picked on for being poor on the bus, even though most kids who went to that school were inner city and broke too. Except for a couple of exceptions, everyone in my 3rd grade class was a minority. Our teachers didn't really seem like they expected much from us even at that age. They would try their best, but were often burned out from having no money and dealing with uncaring parents. The school itself didn't have much funding. The neighborhood was run down. Nothing was really going our way. About halfway into my 3rd grade class, we had a career day. We met a judge, a police officer, and a guy who worked for the transportation department. One guy who came in said he was a millionaire. When he was given his presentation, he was very sweet with us kids, and the teachers all took a liking to him. Although I think they were sucking up to him. That day, the school seemed to have found the benefactor it was desperate for. He said he ran a business downtown and that it was very successful. He took pity on our school and my fellow students and said that if we went on to graduate high school, he'd pay for our college. That's the last time I trust a regional manager of a paper company. All I got was a fucking laptop battery. Damn you, Michael Scott. Gosh dang it, I believe that nonsense for a solid minute. What are you gonna do, make our dreams come true? Oh, that is the most cringeworthy episode of The Office ever. It's so hard to watch. Alright, I'm just gonna end it here, because this is like half an hour long. I don't like to make these go over half an hour. I don't like these videos go over 20 minutes, because it's a lot of time to be reading